This is the largest number of bills that we've had since I have been chair, and I'm sure Chairman Maxwell can remember when there was many more than we have now. And we have really not even started with the Senate portion of it, and we have a large number of bills to hear and to pass out of here or not. But I hope you will bear with us. I've gone through what we will be dealing with next week, and we want to keep this to an hour. We will be respectful of those that we will be following up in this room. So, thank you for coming, and we will get started. And Mr. Whip, would you begin with prayer and ask blessings on this meeting?
Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity you've given us to serve others and serve each other. Pray for your wisdom and guidance as we try to do exactly what you called us to. In Christ's name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you. I just saw Trey Kelly. I left Ways and Means, and he was sitting there as though he was not budging. So he's the first one on the agenda for House Bill 119. So we're going to kind of move past that and go on to the next bill at hand. And that's House Bill 135, and that's Representative Hitchen.
Got it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm working off House Bill 135, LC 430501. This retirement bill actually is an add-on. I think 2 years ago you passed a bill to allow for certain state law enforcement full-time personnel to buy back up to 5 years retirement time from a local agency they worked for previously. The one caveat in there is that they couldn't receive any defined benefit from the previous law enforcement agency, and they have to pay the full actuarial price. So it's a simple bill. Amy Carter was carrying it. I found out about 4 days ago that she called me and asked me if I would take over. So.
All right, thank you. And yes, we did. We passed this some time ago, and there was a little change in it.
Well, this leaves off, they left off the Department of Driver Services. That's all this pertains to, is there are 16 full-time investigators at the Department of Driver Service to investigate fraud and driver's license and any type of activity that may be illegal that goes on amongst their personnel.
All right, thank you, Chairman. And do we have any questions from the committee as this piece of legislation, House Bill 135? All right, do we have anyone here that would like to speak to this particular piece of legislation? I don't hear any, so I entertain a motion. Oh, I think you must have a question. Yes. Excuse me. Now, go ahead. You have no red light.
I got no red light.
Yes, you do.
Well, I still don't have the red light, but maybe it's my eyes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any cost to the system on this? I can't.
The employee has to pay the full actuarial price of what the retirement would cost, as if he had been working for those years. And the maximum time is 5 years that they can purchase.
My dear friend just found that for me here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, any other questions from the committee? I would entertain a motion. Have a motion to do pass. Have a motion in a second. All in favor of passing House Bill 135, let me know by saying aye. Any opposition, like sign, and the motion is, and the bill is passed on to rules.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we're on, aren't we on, yes, we are. You may have need to go to the, I don't know. I mean, it's aimed at us. You don't have to. You can just stay right here. See how easy we are. All right. Representative Kirby, would you share with us House Bill 365?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to bring to you House Bill 365 today. All this bill does is it moves the death benefit for sheriff's retirement out of the sheriff's retirement fund from $15,000 to $25,000 a year. The actuarial study will show you, and I think the important thing is on that third page, the first year funding of $138,032, but this is all covered because the fund is fully funded right now and very stable, and no problem is all coming out of that. So with that, it's pretty straightforward. I'll be happy to answer any questions, give you a minute to digest all the numbers in the actuary data if you want to.
All right, do we have a question from the committee? Do we have anyone here that would like to speak to this bill? Well, we're on a roll. That is great. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to, I didn't quite understand the explanation. Did you say there would be no cost?
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you look on the bottom of page 2, I said 3, it's on 2, excuse me. The double stars, the first year cost is $138,032. However, the required employer contribution would not need to increase since this fund is a well-funded position. So it's not gonna be any cost to us, even though there is cost coming out of the fund.
So the increased cost shown on the unfunded actuarial accrued liability on the 4th page, that cost would be paid by something other than an appropriation?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, do we have any other questions?
So it's funded
Okay.
through law enforcement.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
So there would never need to be an appropriation.
That's right.
For any cost of legislation attached to this. Even though there is a cost, their current contributions coming in exceeds what's necessary to meet the minimum funding requirements, which is why they have enough funding right now to cover the increase in this cost.
Okay.
One other comment, Mr. Chairman, and
Yes, sir.
just what the lady just said, and I appreciate that. But as of right now, it bothers me somewhat that we increase benefits. We've seen this happen over the years. Benefits increase. You can never take a benefit back. We can increase them when the fund gets in trouble. Then we try to scurry and find ways to raise funds to put it back in a solvent position. So I would just caution the committee and people about giving benefits right now. We may be funded, but we don't know when the next recession would hit and things will go down the tubes, and we got to be careful about giving it away. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that comment. Anyone else want to ask any questions concerning the? All right, if there are none, I would entertain a motion. All right, we have a motion to pass. We have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor of passing the bill 365, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, like sign. All right, this is passed under rules. Thank you. All right, and Vice Chair, I will need for you to take the reins here. I have one that I need to present.
All right, well then, this time we'll call on Chairman Battles to present House Bill 398.
House Bill 398 was brought to me actually last year. As you know, that each one of the agencies have investigators. One agency that failed to get on the list of having a plan for them was the Dental Association. And so they came with this request that their investigator would be added to the retirement plan and the peace officer's annuity, and that the Dental Association will pick up all actuarial expense of that. It will not cost the retirement plan nor the state any money. So I will be happy to take any questions that you might have, but that is the way it was presented, and that's the way that we plan to handle it.
All right, we have a question, number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just a general question about this fund. I don't have a problem with what's being proposed, but is this the fund that sheriff's deputies have access to for their retirement? I see a
Yes,
head nod.
It
Okay.
is. Bob,
Right.
did you
That's what I wanted to
did you
know.
need for them
He
to
shook his
speak to
head.
it? Yeah, I saw the head bobbing.
Okay.
Uh,
I'll find them afterwards. I just want to make sure.
But
it's
it
the one.
is.
Okay, thank
It
you.
is.
Do we have any other questions from the committee? No. Don't see any. Is anybody else signed up to want to talk to House Bill 398 today? Well, yeah, this time we'll entertain the motion from the committee.
I make a motion to pass.
Got a motion do pass, we've got a second? All right, we have been moved and second do pass on House Bill 398. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And we'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you so very much. And now we will move on to the second page of our itinerary. And the next one is from Representative Fleming, House Bill 409.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for letting me appear before you today and bring you House Bill 409. Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to do is give you the legislative history of this bill because it's passed before, and then give you the rationale for it, if I may. The bill deals with the judicial retirement system, but it only deals with the appellate courts, our 9 Supreme Court justices and our 15 appeals court justices, so it's pretty narrow in scope. And what it does is simply say that the majority of our trial level judges, our Superior Court judges, all of them actually have a retirement age of 60. The only ones that don't are those 24 that I just mentioned, the Court of Appeals.
Pull the mic up. Just,
I think it's going in and out, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman. Yeah.
okay.
How about I do this? The only ones, or do I need to talk into it? It's going in
You
and
need
out.
to talk.
It's
I
going
think that it's coming through fine.
It's coming through fine, okay. The only ones this affects, though, is not the 220-something Superior Court judges, but the 9 Supreme Court justices and the 15 appellate court judges. And what it does is it makes uniform the retirement age for all of them at age 60. So the history of the bill is that this committee passed it, I think, unanimously, if not overwhelmingly, 2 years ago when we studied it. The House passed it over, rules sent to the floor, the House passed it overwhelmingly. The Senate Retirement Committee passed it unanimously, as I recall. The rules sent it to the floor, and on the last day in the Senate, it did not make it. It did get funded in the budget. Chairman England said he would put the money in there, and he did. And the reason they didn't pass it was because that was when we were expanding the court by 2 justices, and it would have slightly changed the number, we thought. So just in trying to do things right, we said we'll hold it and we'll bring it back later, so I'll bring it back to you now. The rationale behind it is this, Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned to the committee 2 years ago. There is never any trouble with getting enough people to apply to be a judge. There is sometimes trouble with getting the quality people you want, because generally the quality person you want is probably going to take a pay cut to be a Superior Court judge, appellate judge, or justice of the Supreme Court. But what equalizes that and does generally allow us to get real good applicants is the fact that we do have a good retirement system. One of the lures to that has always been for Superior Court judges that if you go sit on that bench for a number of years and serve, you can, if you choose, and most don't, but you can, if you choose, retire at age 60. And at that point, most people still have pretty good health of 5 or 10 more years, and they could continue to go back to practice law if they want to. Our thought process was we ought to make that system uniform and make it also apply to the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals, albeit just a small amount of judges, to continue to get the quality applicants that we do. Now, there is a budget implication to it. It's there in your folder. Last time you passed it was about $500,000. This time it's about $80,000 more than that because we did expand the Supreme Court. That would be, as I understand this, and I always have to get Chairman Maxwell to explain this to me because I don't ever understand these retirement bills. I think it's the second one I've ever done, and I thank him for helping me with this one. That would be if they all retired at the same time at age 60, which nobody ever does, but it would make a lower number if only a few took advantage of it. So I think that number is higher than it would actually be, but a conservative estimate is what's before you. Mr. Chairman, I tried to succinctly explain that, the history of it and the reason for it, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions anybody on the committee has.
Okay. I think you can talk on either one. Okay, number 12 there. Go ahead,
Thank you, Mr.
Ms.
Chairman.
Petty.
Thank you, Representative. Is it not true that this legislation has bipartisan support?
Absolutely.
And I am one of the co-signers on this legislation from before.
You are, and that was evident when it passed on the floor overwhelmingly last time.
Yes.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you for your
you.
work on the legislation.
Appreciate your help.
Yes.
All right, do we have any other questions from the committee? Do we have anyone to speak to this piece of legislation? If we do not, then, oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just quick, not exactly related to this bill, but you are an attorney, correct?
Some people accuse me of that, not everybody.
Did I understand you to say that we don't have quality judges on the appellate division?
No, we actually do because we
Oh.
have a good retirement system.
Okay, all right, just want to make
And,
sure.
Yes. I think that's one of the plums that'll draw a good attorney out of practice, not the salary, because
Good attorney?
you'll take a-
Those
you'll
go
take a-
together?
sometimes.
Oh, okay.
It's the other guy's attorney that's bad. Your attorney is usually a good guy. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. All right, do we have any other questions? If we have none, do we have a motion? Have a motion? Have a second? All in favor, let me know by saying aye. All right, I think, and anyone opposed to this? Okay, motion to pass this on to rules. Thank you so very much there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
All right, thank you. We are rolling along, and now comes House Bill 571 by Chairman Sam Watson. And you can, well, if I can get it, there we go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do bring before you today HB 571. This is LC 430646. This is dealing with the magistrates retirement fund. I've got a couple sections here, and the reason we're bringing this up is we're just trying to get their fund and their plan equal with everybody else. This is a revenue neutral bill. Just making a few changes. In Section 1, they're required to pay dues. So what we're doing here, if you become behind in your dues, you'll be dropped as an active member and then have to be reinstated 30 days later. Section 2, currently there's only one option for the magistrates. We're just bringing them in line with the other retirement funds and giving them some options to make them equal there. And then in Section 3, we're just allowing them, if they become able to work on a part-time basis, it doesn't kick them out. And as you know, in rural Georgia, that could be a possibility. So we just want to make sure they're protected there. And that's all we're doing.
All right, do we have questions from the committee? Do we have any questions from anyone that would like to speak to this piece of legislation? I can't believe this.
I did my best, Mr. Chairman.
Well, and as you always do, you're a great farmer and a great legislator.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So, outstanding in the field. That's right. Tom said it. I didn't say it. All right. If there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion. All right, we have a motion to do pass. We have a second. All in favor of passing House Bill 571, let me know by saying aye. Any opposition, like sign? There is none, so we are two things. One, we move this on to rules, and as of this time, this committee is adjourned. I could have added a lot more to this. What? I know it. Well, see, I was afraid of that.